Cyrus, what's happening, brother?
What's up, bro? How's it going, man?
Man, thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro.
Hey, welcome to Spark.N.Stride, Cyrus, where conversations are sparked and put in motion.
Love that.
So, dude, I'm really excited to speak to you. We met very randomly by the chance.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason why we met, and it may take us years to explore why that is, but I'm here for it.
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
Cyrus, listen, for the folks that are tuning in that maybe know a little bit about you or not much, can you just share a little bit about who you are, what your mission is, and what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I could go pretty deep into it. I could not. I look like I'll actually start from. I'll give you a little background. So, and I usually like to start with when I was 11 years old. Okay, because that's going to give a little bit of understanding of where I am, because it's kind of interesting with what I do now. When I was in sixth grade, fifth and sixth grade, I lost my uncle, my grandma, my uncle, and then my dad all within 1 year.
Wow.
So my grandma passed away. So my mom's mom, my mom's brother. So my grandma was 62. My uncle was 28. My dad was 49. All within 1 year, all different instances. And that was the first time in my life that I started thinking about other people, right? Like that was my mom's mom, my mom's brother, and my mom's husband, my dad, right? My mom, I'm the last of 5 kids, by the way. So it's important to understand all this, because then you understand how I actually think and why I think the way I think. But so basically what ended up happening is when I lost my, when I lost those 3 people, my uncle was like my best friend. Like, I mean, like I wanted to be next to him every second of the day. You know what I mean? And so when all of this happened, it was really hard for me. But what I noticed is my mom never really had to work. She worked, but she didn't have to work. My dad was a breadwinner. My dad passed away. My mom started working 6 jobs to keep the house over her head.
Wow.
That was my reality, right? So my mom would go to work at like 4:35 in the morning, come home at like 11:30 midnight every night. She'd go work as a crossing guard in the morning. She'd work at the diner at night, yada, 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 yada. Wow. My mom's amazing. Big mama's boy. I love my mom. I'll do anything for my mom. And so what ended up happening is when that happened, it was the first time I started thinking about other people versus myself. And I started trying to make my mom's life easier. So, okay, I walked to school. I stopped trying to get in trouble at school. I still got in fights, but I was still getting, you know what I mean? Like, but I was trying not to be in trouble, right? And then I realized that I also have to take care of myself. So I realized that I also have to do what makes me happy. And that was the first time in my life that I realized that, okay, like other people around me, I got to make sure I'm looking out for other people and their opinions, but also I got to look out for myself. And how I did that was I played soccer. I never knew you could play. So growing up, I wanted to be an architectural engineer. That's what I wanted to be. Like when I say growing up, I mean like from like kindergarten all the way to like 6th grade, really.
Wow.
I wanted to be an architectural engineer. I used to say I want to be a working man. And then my uncle was like, no, you want to be an architectural engineer. That's what you want to do. And I'm like, okay, cool, you know, because I just want to build things. I want to build things. I want to design houses. I want to design buildings. Like that's what I want to do. And so when all of this happened, my uncle, my dad, and my grandma passing away, like I started playing soccer because it was the only thing that I could do to keep my mind off of what was going on at home.
Right.
Then I found out you could play professional soccer. Honestly, I still try to figure out like what I thought beforehand, but I thought like, I don't know, you're like born into like a team, and if you're not there from a baby, you're not playing professionally. You know what I mean? Like I don't really know.
Yeah.
But then I realized that it was possible to play professional soccer. Like that was a reachable goal. So at that moment, I decided I want to play professional soccer.
Wow.
And what I did was I trained every single day, before school, after school, after school, because it was the only thing I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like it was the only thing that I wanted to do on a daily basis, because it was the only thing that I could do that kept my mind off of everything else.
Right.
So fast forward, I could talk about how I got cut from my first club team and yada yada yada, but we're just gonna skip over all of this. You know, you know what I mean? I was never the best player, by the way. Like I say this all the time. Like I was never the best player. I just was the one that worked harder than everybody else.
Right.
You know, I mean, I was on a club team. I played goalkeeper. And I was getting 5 goals scored on me. Like that puts in perspective. Like, you know, and I'm saying I want to play pro, right?
Right.
But I just knew if I trained hard enough, if I worked hard enough, then I can do it.
Right.
So fast forward, 2 days after I graduated high school, I moved to Europe. I played professional soccer. I ended up playing in Switzerland, Iceland, Costa Rica, the Philippines, here in the United States. I played for Chivas USA, San Jose Earthquakes.
Wow.
I played for some of the biggest clubs in the world.
Wow.
And what I realized was that this was always my dream, right? Like in high school, my counselors would be like, hey, Cyrus, you need a backup plan. You know, what about school? Yada, yada, yada. And I was always like, a backup plan's an excuse to fail. Like, no, I'm going all in, right? And that's what I really did. Well, fast forward, I was playing in Iceland. I was coming home. I was during an off season. So during every single off season, I went through some sort of like schools. Like I always say like I went to Italian class, I went to French class. I failed both of those. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, and I would do like some sort of school. I hate school. I love learning. So I was always trying to like get more knowledge, right? And this specific year, I was coming home to sign with a contract with the team in LA, and so I knew I was going to get a good contract and I was going to buy a house. So I said, oh, let me get my real estate license.
Okay.
Right. So this was during off season.
Now, what year is this?
This is 2016.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
So kind of like after, when was the crash, the real estate crash?
Oh, yeah, 2007, 2008. This is years later.
Okay, yeah.
And by the way, I have like I'm only doing this because I wanted to buy a house. It wasn't because I want to be a real estate agent at all. Like, first of all, like I thought real estate agents were boring, right? Like, second of all, I just was like, I had no interest in it whatsoever. I'm an athlete. My game plan, my life plan is very simple. All right. Graduate high school, moved to Europe, play soccer. After I play soccer in Europe, play soccer for years, about 35 to 40, retire, coach professional soccer, and then that's it. And just live my life. Okay. That was my game plan.
Right.
Well, I came home from Iceland to come play in LA, and I was at my mom's house. I went to go get lunch, and on my way back, someone made an illegal left-hand turn and T-boned me. That ended my soccer career. So there goes my perfect game plan, right? My perfect life.
Now, what year? This was 2016?
2016, yeah.
Wow.
So then I go through this whole identity crisis. I thought people loved me for what I did, not who I am. I went through a whole depression. You know, you talk about people wanting to commit suicide and saying they want to do it. They thought about it. It's like, no, I like planned to do it, right? It's like different. I had a game planned. I knew I was going to do it. And one of my coaches wouldn't leave me alone after. Like, I knew I wasn't going to play. Like, I had already, said I'm not going to play anymore, yada, yada, yada. And this coach that used to train me, a personal trainer, kept calling me. He's like, calling me. And one day I just like, screw this. Like, Chris, what the hell do you want? Like, I'm not playing soccer anymore. Stop calling me. He's like, and he was a Marine. Okay. And back in the day, and he goes, in other language, right? He goes, I know I'm not effing calling you, right? Because I want you to play soccer. I know you're never going to effing play soccer again. I'm calling you because I want to see if you want to grab lunch because I care about you. And at that moment, it was that like my realization that like, because I only knew him from soccer. And it was like just this light bulb that like clicked finally. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it clicked where I was like, wait, maybe people actually care about me, not Cyrus, the soccer player. And that's what really shifted me out of that depression, is just knowing that someone else cared about me as an individual versus like on a different level. You know what I mean?
Did you have, because you were really close to your uncle prior to his passing, so in some sort of way, was that kind of like an empty void maybe, that you kind of like had this mentor or someone who cared about you, who cared about you and not so much what you could provide for them?
Yeah, so like it was interesting because like my uncle passing away, my dad passing away. They were my two big like father figures, male figures, whatever in my life, right? And yesterday I did a conference, and I tell this story all the time. The same thing we're talking about all the time. And it was the first time that I actually like choked up when I started talking about it. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why am I like in my mind? I'm like, why am I about to cry right now? Are you kidding me? Like,
I never,
dude, like I say this all the time. And I think yesterday I realized that it was because it was a big moment, and I'm going through a lot of big moments right now. And it's hard to like do it. Dude, this happened, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like this is such a long time ago that all of this happened, where it's like I'm doing these things and I'm wishing they were there to see it. Right. And like these things. So I think yesterday I just realized it, you know what I mean? But I had really like, thank goodness, like I have older brothers. I have 2 older sisters, 2 older brothers, and later on now, like I have a very good relationship. Like my mom remarried years down the line. My stepdad and I are very close. Like, and I had a couple coaches that like really like were big figures in my life. I had a coach named Fernando who was like right after my dad passed away. I remember on the back of my jersey, it said like in loving memory of daddy or whatever, right? On my jersey, every jersey I wore. And one day the ref said something, and he said something like, hey, he gave me a card, and I was like, oh, you kidding me? Like, what the heck? He goes, oh, you don't respect me. You could go disrespect your dad or something like that, but not me. And it was like a trigger that like was, and I remember I like cussed the guy out. I'm in like 6th grade or 7th grade, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And Fernando came running over, and Fernando's like, hey man, come on, Mio, come over here, and brought me to the side, and like, and like really like those people like Fernando, Zach, Chris, like these are people that like really helped me learn about life and were those male figures. So they filled that void a lot. But I think that the depression and the was really because I truly felt that people just didn't care about me as an individual, because I put so much of my self-worth in football, in soccer. Like my self-worth was everything that I did. It was, I mean, I met people and the first thing I say was, oh yeah, I'm a professional athlete, right? Like that was just my identity. It was period, end of story. And I've said that since I was such a young kid. I played soccer. That's what I do, period.
Right.
Because I really believe that like you want to do something, you want to accomplish something in life, like you have to manifest that. You have to live into it. You have to believe it. And it was really, I had trouble separating the two of like, hey, these are people, these are my people. They're going to care about me no matter what I do. In my mind, I thought people just cared about me because of what I did. So I don't know if it was so much of a void of like, that's why, but it was more of like a identity issue, because I didn't know who I was. And I didn't know what I was good at. I didn't know. All I knew was I play football. That's all I know. And then fast forward, I'm like sitting on my now business partners. He was retired for years and years, and I was sitting on the back of his yacht, and I'm sitting there, and he's a life mentor for me as well. Another person that like I said, Fernando, Zach, Chris, Jack. I got another guy, MZ. These are like mentors of mine that like we're not family. My older brothers, like they helped me out like tremendously, but like these people were like big people in like how I shifted and how I thought about things and my mindset, right?
Okay. And
I'm sitting on the back of Jack's yacht, and I'm like, Jack, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because by the way, like this is at a time when I'm like going through this whole depression. Like finally I'm like trying to come out of it. Then I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? I never went to college. I never did any. Like I told everyone to screw off when they told me to get a backup plan.
Right.
Now I need one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, you were like, no, there's no backup plan. This is what I'm doing.
This is it.
Right.
So then I'm like, what am I going to do? And I looked at Jack, and I'm like, Jack, I think I'm going to get into real estate. Like I was getting my license, I think I could do this. And Jack looked at me and goes, how do you think I paid for all this? And I was like, sounds good enough to me.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got into real estate. Absolutely crushed it my first year because I'm very structured. I have a very, I got up at early in the morning. I started, and I had no real estate background, by the way, like no family in real estate or anything. Right. It was just the only thing that I think I could do because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I got up every morning. I started cold calling people at 8 a.m. to 12 noon. From 12 noon to 1, I did like a lunch and prepared for my door knocking. I door knocked homes from 1 to 3. And then I followed up with clients. And every weekend I did 2 open houses. And then I sold $30 million of real estate in my first year. And I'm like, maybe I could do this. And we built the company. Now we're one of the top independent real estate brokerages in the country. I'm one of the top real estate trainers in the country now. And really it comes from like this whole mindset that when I was an athlete, I always had was there's always someone out there getting better than you by working harder than you. And I want to be the person that's outworking everybody, like no matter what, right? It's the same thing that we're talking about last night. You came up to me, right? We're walking down the thing.
Yeah.
And you came up to me.
Yeah.
It's like, this is my work, what we're doing right now. Yeah. If I'm going to be able to like, let's create, let's keep moving forward. Right.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I will outwork anybody and I will push through anything. And that's really what, like, why I am the way I am. And now what I do is I have a nonprofit. We go around the world. We put on soccer camps for orphanages. I have the independent real estate brokerage. I have 12 companies. They're all very successful companies, multi-million-dollar companies, every single one of them. And I've built all of those, and I've realized that I have this knack for business that I didn't even know I had. Never went to college, never, but what I did is, like we were talking about, YouTube University. I freaking, I learn everything online. Yeah. I listen to 6, I always say I read 6 books, but now I'm starting to say I listen because people keep giving me crap about it. It's like I do Audible, 6 books a month, like everything. Like I hate school. I love learning. Like I just want to continually take in more knowledge so that I can share more as well.
Man, I could totally relate to everything that you're saying, Cyrus. Like seriously, man. Like same thing. School, not really fond of it, but I am a student of learning.
Yeah.
And so a little bit about myself. I joined the Air Force in 1999. I left my house at the age of 14. Never met my father. My mother was a heroin addict in the 80s and 90s. I go through and I reminisce a lot, and I think to myself all these different times that I was like seriously supposed to be a statistic.
Yep.
Like at every turn, but for some reason I was able to navigate and call it faith or someone looking over me or being blessed. I was able to not fall into certain traps of the inner city.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but like that really is. I truly feel the same. Like if I really broke down like all of these things that happened to me throughout my life and how I got to where I'm at, you'd look there and be like, there's something else there. But like the reality is like whether you believe in God or higher power, whatever you believe in, energy, whatever it is, like I truly think that like our biggest, I mean, that's what the butterfly effect is, right? Like the butterfly effect is like that, like, can we spread positivity on a daily basis? And like, if we can create more positive energy, like things work, right? But at the same time, we have choice, right? For me, I believe in God. I believe in free will. I believe we have the choice to move forward or to make our decisions. And some people are like, oh, this person made me mad and this happened, so this is why I'm this way. It's like, no, like we always have a choice. Period. End of story. Mm-hmm. Whether you want to accept that choice or not is a different fact, right? And so like someone like that's coming from like your background or like someone that's coming from like my background, like we dealt with adversity, cool. But like we had a choice. And we're either going to choose to go right or left. I chose to go right. You chose to go right, period. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? Throughout our lives, we're going to continually have those choices to make.
Yeah.
So are we going to make them go right or left? And sometimes we go left and then we realize should have went right.
Should have went right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we can't make U-turns. We can't go back. So we just keep moving forward and make the right turn when we're able to get there. Right. And like that's part of life. Right. Like that's just how it is. And I think that like people that are dealing with adversity, like that, like dealt with what you've dealt with growing up, that like dealt with what whatever is going on. And that's the other thing, dude. Like every single person in the world is dealing with something.
Agreed.
Like
Agreed.
Let's just break that down.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Like every single person in the world is dealing with something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what makes my problem so special? Like, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm dealing with something that's hard. But at the end of the day, like everybody's dealing with something. So I got to make the choice that's going to get me to the next move. Every single time something happens, it's like, all right, go this way or go this way. What do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I think life is all choices. Like every single person has choices as they go through their life. And I guarantee if I broke down your exact story, I could talk about all the choices that you made that actually led you to make it here. It wasn't chance or luck or anything like that. It's choice. You know what I mean? And I think that's such an important factor to like understand, because we really do have control of our lives more than we give ourselves credit. And I think that the universe or God or whatever you want to say, like gives us opportunities and things happen to us. But at the end of the day, like we get to choose how our life's going to end up. But you have to choose that on a daily basis.
Cyrus, you're spot on. No BS, spot on with that, right? So like I think I was telling you earlier, the whole concept with like Spark.N.Stride, even the color scheme in it is like spark to continuously think, continuously make choice.
Yep.
And put the choices that you make, to put them in motion, right? Put your ideas in motion, put your motivation in motion, and down to the color scheme of Spark.N.Stride represents depending on how you want to look at it, it's a sunset or a sunrise is what inspired me to use that color scheme.
Yeah, I love it.
Right. And it's no matter what it is you're going through, no matter how hard, whatever season you're in, because it's not always a bad season.
Yep. Sometimes
it's a good season, but you have to understand that you have the opportunity to reset yourself every day.
100%. And like, here's the crazier thing. Like, and actually someone told me this the other day. They're like, that's toxic positivity. I'm like, you got other issues. like what is toxic positivity? Like, first of all, like, here's the reality. Like, what if everything works towards good? Let me just throw this out there. What if everything works towards good? So, for instance, my dad passed away. Everybody always asks me, what's the best thing that ever happened to you? What's the worst thing that ever happened to you? Did I say one bad thing about my dad? No, my dad was an amazing human being. My dad had the most integrity. My dad shook your hand and it was done. My dad was a business owner. My dad took care of his family. I'm telling you, we had everything and anything we wanted whenever we wanted it when my dad was around. And he took care of my mom. You know what I mean? Like, he was an amazing human being. But it was the best thing and the worst thing that ever happened to me when he passed away. My uncle, the same thing. And I cry about it to this day, 20 years later. But without them passing away, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And I can't help but be grateful for where I'm at. 6 years ago, my brother-in-law passed away, 42 years old, left 4 kids, my 3 nephews and my niece. Pancreatic cancer, got diagnosed in October, passed away in April. Wow. I could be angry, I could be mad, I could be sad. And I've felt all of those feelings. Mm-hmm. But I can't help but also be grateful for that happening, because without that happening, I guarantee I wouldn't have the relationship I have with my nieces and my nephews. I wouldn't. And I have to be grateful for that. And sometimes, sometimes stuff happens in our lives and all we see is, you're doing a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and all we pick up is one piece and it's black. It's completely black. And we look at that and we don't know what the picture is. And I say, hey, tell me the picture. You're like, I don't know. I can't see it. I can't see it. And like I said, whatever higher power, whatever you believe in, God looks down at the picture. He sees the perfect picture. He sees the perfect puzzle.
Right.
But you don't. All you see is that black piece at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have that choice to lay that piece down or stare at that piece for a little longer. Right. Me, I want to lay that piece down and keep going and adding more pieces, because I guarantee that piece is going to fit perfectly in the picture. And when I look at the whole picture, it's going to be the Starry Night.
Yep.
One of the most beautiful paintings in the world. You know what I mean? So
I really like that analogy. I really do.
But it's like that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like so yeah, stuff happens in our lives, and everything can be. I could pull negativity from every single instance. Everything that I do, I can pull negative things out. But also everything I do, I can pull positive things out. What energy do I want to attract? I want to grow. I want to move forward. I want to help other people. So I'm not going to choose that negative side. I could do it in everything that I do. Mm-hmm. As I'm driving here, someone cuts me off. I can sit there and say, screw that person, blah, blah, blah. And I could come into this podcast and be pissed off.
Right, yeah.
Or I can sit there when they cut me off and be like, hey, maybe they're in a rush. They got to get somewhere because, X, Y, Z.
Right.
Or maybe they didn't even see me.
Yep.
Right? Like, I have a choice. I have a choice in how I react to every single situation. And I have a choice my whole life on how I react to every single situation. But I also have the choice to be grateful for every single situation. You know what I mean? And like,
totally, man.
Like people that have gone through stuff like we've gone through, it's like, look, like, what are we going to do? We got to be grateful for where we're at. You know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean. And so much so that I've been doing, I find myself lately, maybe like the past, I don't know, like a few weeks or so, I've been doing a lot of reflecting.
Yeah.
Tons of reflecting, right? Just thankful for where I am, right? Just thankful, right? I have a beautiful family. I have a beautiful wife, supportive wife. I have a beautiful little girl who's intelligent as just so smart, right?
Yeah.
I'm healthy. You know what I'll share this with you. I don't share this with a lot of people. So when I was homeless at the age of 14, I would sleep on the trains in New York City, and you learn how to kind of like sleep sitting up with your head to the side. And I never had a pillow, right? When this is happening, I don't have a pillow, right? Who's walking around with a pillow to go to sleep on a New York City subway? But every night that I go to bed, I've purposely, throughout being an adult, purchased tons of pillows.
Yeah.
So I have all these pillows on my bed, and my wife is like, why do we need all these pillows? And I was like, no, it's just, it really reminds me of how fortunate I am. You know what I mean?
Yep.
How throughout all the trials and tribulations, throughout all of the situations where I needed to push through and be resilient, it's just a reminder.
Yeah.
Right? I just never want to lose sight of that. And, my daughter, recently, she's 5 years old, she's going on 6 years old, and she was pouting about something, and she was, I had to like stop what I was doing, and we went out to the porch, and I'm talking to her, and I'm just trying to tell her, like, you don't understand like how good you have it.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be grateful for things and so forth. And then I had a buddy, he was on the podcast also, and he was like, hey man, but you got to understand, like, that's, her reality is different than your reality. You're imposing something that she doesn't know what that is. And I'm really, really glad that he told me that, because I think I'm just using it as a different lens to look through, Yeah,
I had a friend in high school, one of my best friends, her mom told me, or I don't know, it was someone's baby I don't know whose baby was there. Someone's baby was there, and the baby was crying and crying. And I'm like holding the baby, trying to calm the baby down, and my friend was like, she was like, stop crying, like blah blah blah. And my friend's mom goes, his feelings are hurt. He's sad about something. He's mad about something. Just because you don't understand why he's mad or he's sad, like,
right.
He's mad about something. Like, he could feel that, just like you feel it sometimes. And it was this light bulb that was like these, like, babies, right? Like, you wouldn't, but like they're dealing with something too.
Right.
It's the same thing I was talking about. Like every one of us is dealing with something on a daily basis. Your daughter is dealing with whatever she's dealing with, but it's just different.
Right.
You know? And so like
she's entitled to that.
Correct. And then also like I think that our job as whether it's mentors or like as a father or as, you know, it's to give them the tools to deal with those things. You know, I think a lot of the times like I know growing up, like people would tell me this is how you're supposed to do it. But it's like, I don't see it through how they see it, right? People put other people in boxes because of how they've lived. But for me, like, can I give other people the tools to be able to deal with these things? Can I give my niece, my nephews the tools instead of telling them, hey, you're this? You know what I mean? Like, and it's this thought process that like shifts when you start thinking about it. So it's like I tell people all the time, I'm like, hey, like one of the tools that I use is like, I write every single day something that I'm grateful for. I don't know where I got this. I got it from somewhere else, but I write on a piece of paper something I'm grateful for on a daily basis. I fold that up, I put it in a jar. And I put those every day. So guess what? On day 20, when I'm having a bad day, I still have to write something I'm grateful for, but when I'm having a bad day, I can pull those out. And I could be like, okay, that's what I'm grateful for. Okay, that's what I'm grateful for. Like, it's not so bad.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have to remind ourselves as well.
Yep.
You know, and I truly think that the other big thing, like as we're talking about grateful, I think about this. Ego, to me, ego is the devil. Ego is the worst thing that can happen. I mean, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and they were talking about, and I was saying like, ego's the devil, and they're like, no, literally, like that's what ended up having why the whole story is that the devil wanted to be in charge of everything because of his ego, and then he got sent down. Like, so it actually all made sense in my mind when I did that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but ego is the devil, and the fastest way to kill ego is gratitude on a daily basis, because as human beings, we all have ego. We all are egotistical on some point about something. And ego leads to the worst decisions that people have made in history. Mm-hmm. Wars are started from ego.
From ego, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so how can we kill ego? Gratitude on a daily basis. It's the only way. Because it grounds us. It makes us understand like, hey, like, yeah, I want this, blah, blah, blah. But like gratitude kills ego. It's the fastest way to kill ego. So every day, can you practice on a daily basis in the morning, hey, something that you're grateful for, and in the evening, something you're grateful for? Because then you're starting your day grounded and you're ending your day grounded. You know what I mean? And it's things like that like for instance, like I've even talked to my niece about, she's 6, you know? And I'm like, hey baby, like what are you happy that happened today? You know? And then she'll say something, or what are you happy that happened yesterday? You know, all of these things. And to them it's, you know, it's oh, I played tag at school. And I'm like, what a simple life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's so fun for them, right?
Yeah.
So now when she's having a hard time, I'm like, hey, but remember you had fun playing tag at school. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like in this different thought process.
Don't be upset at this, but I'm taking a lot of your the gems that you're dropping.
Oh,
I'm going to use a lot of this stuff.
No, I'm not upset about it at all, bro.
No, brother, the gratitude thing, like I'm implementing that today. And whoever's listening, you should do the same, because you're absolutely right. Ego is, and you know, I like to say like ego and anger like to hang out. They're like cousins.
Oh, 100%.
Right? It's just, I like that. Cyrus, I really, really like that.
Well, if you really think about it, like that's why we get angry, is ego. Like, like the arguments that I have with my girl, usually because of ego. Or jealousy, which is because of ego.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like those are the things. But then when I realize it, it's like, is it really that bad? You know what I mean? Like, is it really that bad? Is this something that's going to bother me in a year? Am I going to remember why I'm upset in a year from now?
No.
Most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, it's a no.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But
sure.
It's the ego.
Absolutely. Do you so you're living in LA. You live in LA, right? Do you for those listening, we're in New Jersey. Do you come out here often?
No. I came out maybe 2 weeks ago for another speaking engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came out because I had my event actually in Madison.
Okay. Well, like, what are your thoughts? Like in terms of clearly it's different.
Yeah,
right?
Very different.
Weather's different, culturally different. Like what are your thoughts?
No, I love it. I was just telling them like it'd be cool. Like this is a cool area. It's gorgeous. It's fun. Like people are good. Like I mean, the reality is like I travel all around the world. I've lived all around the world. Like people are different everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Cultures are different everywhere. But at the end of the day, like some people are like, oh, the East Coast is angry. This is whatever it is. But like, it's all who you surround yourself with at the end of the day. Like I could go in LA and everybody can be angry too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I could go in this space and everybody could be this way. It's just who you put yourself around with. So like if you're around good people, it's a good time.
Yeah.
I really think that's what determines like areas and specifics. Like when you're in a certain area and you have good experiences with good people, like you have a good time, then you love the area. So I love it out here.
Yeah, agreed, man. Yeah. Dude, like it's so amazing that our paths crossed yesterday. I could have went the other way, right?
Yeah.
You could have left earlier. You could have not.
Well, actually, I wasn't. Just actually, here I'll actually break it down for you.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
because you don't realize this. So I had an event yesterday. We oversold the venue. Well, actually, I did the event for free, but like registrations were way oversold.
Mm-hmm.
And so the standing room only. I was there after the event. I was there for like 2.5 hours talking to people as they were coming up, taking pictures, doing this whole thing. Right.
Yeah.
I was exhausted, bro. So what happened is a couple of people from my team, they're staying at one house, and then we're staying at another house. And I went and I went to go get a massage. I was like, dude, I need to get a massage. They all went out. They all went to some like bar, played bingo at the bar or whatever, you know.
Okay.
And then they had stopped in at that place that we met earlier in the day, and they were like, oh, it's a jazz band or something like that. We should go back there on the way back. We really want to show you, Cyrus, because I'm a huge art collector, and there's an artist there that they were like, we want to show you because I think you'd like this art.
Yeah. That's my buddy, by the way.
Yeah. Which we found out later, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, cool. Like, let's go check it out, right? So I went and got a massage. I went and met up with them when they were playing bingo. We're walking back, and they want to take me to this place. So we went into that place. I stayed there for about 3 minutes, and I was like, guys, I'm dead. I'm hungry. I'm out. Like, see you later. So we went to 3 of them stayed. Us 2 went, and we went to I don't know what it was called. It's a little diner.
Okay.
And we sat at the diner. We ate. I ate, breakfast for dinner. It's like my favorite thing. And then I had it, and then I was like, all right. So we start walking back, and I was like, well, Linz, let's go check in with them. Let's, because they kept texting me, are you coming back? Are you coming back? And I was like, all right, let's go check in with them. So we went back, and I'm like I'm a huge art collector. I'm a huge hip hop head, like even bigger hip hop head. So I'm sitting there, and the artist that was performing was actually really dope.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed there, and I was just like vibing the music, like chilling out, like not talking to anybody, just chilling, And so I was sitting there, and then I was like, all right, guys, like, let's go. Like, we got to go. So I walked out, right? And then so I wasn't there is my point. I left, and I did not plan to come back. And I came back just off a whim, and then I walked out, and then they called me up when you were talking to them. Isn't that crazy?
So wild, man.
Yeah.
So I saw the shirts, right?
Yeah.
I saw the shirts. Cool logo design.
Oh, thank you.
I really like that.
It's an artist that actually we work with, street artist, a really big street artist. His name's Lakash.
Okay.
He actually designed the logo, and he's like, is
he from LA?
He's from LA, and he is one of the dopest street artists. Like,
yeah, man.
I'm telling you, like, he's like this right now. It's crazy. Yeah.
I would love to send me his IG so I can follow him and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man. So I saw the logo and I'm like, man, like I'm curious, like what that is. But the music was kind of loud.
Yeah.
And I was on my way out as well. So I saw your folks kind of walking out. I was like, oh, like let me walk out with them, and I'll, and in passing, I forgot who exactly I was asking. I was like, hey, like what does that mean? And then one of the girls started talking to me. She was like, the founder's downstairs.
Yeah.
And then we went out and, we had a brief conversation and we were able to put this together. Man, it's amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's really, really amazing that, I didn't find out about that venue until Sunday. So Sunday, we cut a cake here for my daughter. It was her like recital.
Oh, tight.
My buddy, Josh, right? Gutierrez Art, right? He was, he's like, hey man, you should come out to this thing I'm doing on Wednesday. I was like, dude, like 100%, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And that's how that whole thing transpired,
That's
right?
tight.
It's just awesome, man. Like the way the universe talks to each other.
So I have this theory. And it's you ever watch Finding Nemo?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course. You have a little
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I love Finding Nemo. But there's a part, and my favorite are the turtles, by the way. Like but there's a part where the turtles are in that current. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
They're like in the current, and they're just kind of like cruising. It's just going, and it's taking them to wherever they got to go. I forget what it was. And one of the turtles, like the fish are right there by the current. One of the turtles hops out of the current. He's like, "What's up, man?" Blah blah blah. And all these other turtles are just going zooming. I think that's how life is. Like when you're in positive energy and positive flow, meaning that you're spreading positive energy out to other people. You're actively spreading positivity and accepting positivity in. I think that we're in that flow. And things just start clicking. Like this is my theory. Like things will start clicking. I think there's something that we don't understand yet about humanity, but things start clicking. When those things start clicking, we're in that flow. Every once in a while, we're out of that flow. And sometimes it's harder to get back in because we're further out of that flow. Sometimes it's pretty easy. We get out and we're like, hey, figure it out, right? And you get back in the flow and you keep going. But when those things are clicking and those things are connecting, I don't believe in coincidences. So when there's opportunities like things like this, like I truly believe like there's reasons for every single thing. And if there's no coincidences, then there's only reasons that they're happening, right? So for me, when we talked, I was like, yeah, hey, if we do this, then we can make it happen. And I told you, I have this much time.
Right.
Like if you weren't able at this time, I couldn't do it, period.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't happen because I have so much else going on today.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so the fact that we were able to meet, the fact that like why I was there, the fact like all of these little things line up to create something bigger. Yeah. That's
and you know, Cyrus, check this out, right? So so we're in roughly like the third week of June, right? Mm-hmm. So the way I've been working everything with Spark.N.Stride is like building up the content for the next month, right? So this has been my week to kind of like get my folks in and of course I'm just starting this, right? Yeah. A lot of people think that I've been doing this for a while. I'm like, no, like I literally just started.
Yeah.
I'm maybe 4 weeks in.
Yeah.
Right? Just starting, right?
Yeah.
So I was scheduling all the folks this week, and today is my editing day. So today I kept it open because I was gonna edit and kind of do my thing. And dude, bro, this is so dope, man.
No, I appreciate you, bro.
No, man, like thank you, dude. I just know when it's to your point. I just know when the current is right, and I know when we've been around long enough to just know about when the space is right, when the energy's right, and it's right.
Yeah,
Well,
and also like just give yourself credit too, because like that current flows and opportunities come, but like you have to make the choice to take them. And you could have easily saw us walking out and been like,
yeah, for sure.
That's it. That would have been it.
That would have been it. We wouldn't have been here. We would have been here, and
isn't that crazy?
How would I? Yeah, man. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So,
you mentioned hip hop. You're into hip hop.
Love hip hop.
Like run me through it. What's
Dude, I'm like so I grew up playing soccer, but I also grew up like in the studio. Like my brother was like a hip hop artist, like MZ, who's like I was telling you earlier, one of my big mentors,
Okay.
like big A&R for Convict Music, like basically any artist that ever wanted to be played on the radio in LA, like they had to go through MZ. Like this is like this is my world that I grew up in, you know? And my older brother taught me, I mean, everything about hip hop. I remember being like 12, 13, you know, and sitting in the car, and he's like, all right, you got to memorize this big pun verse so you can understand how he does his delivery versus how Nas is doing his delivery versus how, you know, yada, yada, yada. Like, this is my life, how I grew up, you know?
Wow.
And we would sit in the car. I'd go to the studio with him. We'd record music. Like,
wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I love hip hop. It's like hip hop and art are like my two, like, you know, soccer. I have soccer, which is a passion and a love, but like hip hop and art are like I'm very creative on that side of things. Yeah.
Cyrus, I'm going to share something with you. So when I started coming up with this, you know, this podcast, this concept, Spark.N.Stride, and how am I going to like speak to people and who am I going to speak to, right? So, you know, piecing it all together, you know, coming up with a color scheme and all this. So I had someone tell me, they're like, dude, like your podcast seems a bit urban.
Yeah.
Right? Cyrus, sometimes folks say that, like it's like a low-handed comment almost, right? So I'm like, dude, this is me.
Yep.
This is what I like. I don't want to be in a suit and tie. Nope. I don't want to be, you know, like this is supposed to be a comfortable space for me. And if it appears urban to you, well, okay.
Cool.
What's wrong with that, right? Well, you're only going to get like urban people to be on the podcast. And but what does urban look like? What does hip hop look like?
Yeah.
It's universal.
Yo, like do you realize like this is I could have this conversation all day long, but do you realize like 90% of our culture comes from hip hop? Our fashion comes from hip hop. Like do you realize like people don't understand this, like down to like high fashion, like Louis Vuitton and like all of it, like this is all hip hop driven. It really is. Our fashion, how we dress and how people act and all of this is all from hip hop.
Yeah.
Right? It's all urban. It's all like and then on the other side of things, it's like when I look at things, people tell me, because this is a thing, like especially like in the real estate industry, everyone's wearing suits and things like that. I am who I am. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people this, I am who I am. And if you don't like it, that's cool. Mm-hmm. But I'm who I am. You go be who you want to be, but you don't need to be in my circle. Period. End of story. And I don't need to entertain this conversation anymore, because the reality is like people are going to feel the way they feel. Zach, again, I've given you stories actually about like all my different mentors of big lessons that I learned. Zach, one day I was like probably like 16. I went on trial with the pro club and I was there and I did well. I did really well. And then one of the coaches came up to me afterwards and was like, hey man, you know, I think you did really well. Like, I'm going to help you get into this team, blah, blah, blah. And I knew him from years before, you know, and he's kind of like a guy I didn't really vibe with anyways. And he's like, I'm going to help you, blah, blah, blah. You know, who are you training with right now? And I'm like, oh, Zach, of course, you know. And Zach, you know, Zach's only there. He was coaching the U.S. men's national team, by the way. Mm-hmm. Zach's only there because he knows how to talk and he's not really, you know, a great trainer and blah, 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 blah. And I told him, F off, screw you, I'll never play for your team. Don't talk to me, blah, blah, blah. And I flipped him off and I left to the locker room. And I was proud. And ego, right? I was proud. I was like, yeah, you know, 16 years old. Boom, I stood up for my coach, my person, you know? Mm-hmm. And I call Zach and I'm like, I'm going to tell him that I'm proud of it. So I call Zach and I'm like, hey, Zach, this is what happened. This is what he said. And I told him to F off, don't talk to me, blah, 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 blah. He goes, Cyrus, he was the Egyptian guy. He goes, are you stupid? And I was like, what? Like, wait a second. That's not the reaction I was supposed to get. You're supposed to be like, yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And he goes, Cyrus, you believe in God? I said, yeah, of course. He goes, you're a Christian. I said, yeah. He goes, so you believe in Jesus? Yeah. Even people don't like Jesus. And that's God. So why does everybody have to like me? And I was like, oh, snap. I'm like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? Like,
bro,
like not everybody's going to like me. Not everybody's gonna vibe with me. God, who's the creator of the universe, not everybody vibes with him.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it me that everybody's gonna vibe with? Why is it Zach that everyone's gonna vibe with? That stuck with me forever. That thought process, that like, yo, so for me, my projects, for your project, for everything, people are gonna say BS all day long. And then as you become more successful, it just becomes more. And I learn it as I've been more and more. People just keep saying more. At first they're like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, well you should be doing this. Oh, you ever check this? Oh, your little thing you're doing over there. Yeah, that's cool, blah, 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 blah. Like, let them talk. Because not everybody's going to like you. And not everybody's supposed to like you.
No,
and how you're doing it. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point, man. Like, I like how you broke that one down, Cyrus.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for sure, man. It's just like, I'm like, what does that mean, urban? Like, dude, like, but to your point, you know, the hip hop culture is influencing so much.
Everything.
You know, so it's just, listen, I'm having fun.
That's it.
Like I am legit having fun, and you know, I enjoy speaking to people.
Yeah.
This is what I swear to you, Cyrus. This is what I envisioned. I didn't envision a molded, one kind of like cookie cutter type of person. No, that doesn't interest me.
Yeah,
that doesn't interest me. I've been using my network. You know. Thankfully, I know quite many interesting people, and I understand the power of like networking and so forth. And that's how I've kind of like been developing Spark.N.Stride. But yeah, man, like what we're doing right now, I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Like, and again, being a student of learning, I'm learning so much right now. I'm learning so much from you and your story.
Likewise.
and what you're into. Man, it's great. And I really hope that like folks that are listening to this or watching this on social media or so forth I hope that this sparks something in someone, because 9 months ago, this was an idea that I had that I wasn't sure how to put it together, but I just kept chipping away at it. You know, I didn't want to put it on the back burner. You know, I wanted to figure out, man, how do I put this together? What do I do? Like, how do I learn these cameras? How do I...
Dude, I'm looking at your setup, bro. You crushed it. You're crushing it. Like, but that's the thing. You said it right there. You actually said it. Chipping away at it. Like, you can't get up the stairs. Every once in a while, you could skip a step, maybe two, maybe three if you got legs like mine, because I'm 6'6". You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, for
maybe
sure.
you could skip a couple steps.
Yeah.
But it's one step at a time. Like, that's the best way to get up the stairs. One step at a time. Right? And like 100%. That's like how you accomplish anything in life. Like, these people we expect to like we don't realize that like every successful person. Someone gave a talk, one of my buddies, Michael Panisi, he spoke at my event yesterday. He's amazing. He's from New Jersey, great guy. And he actually had highlighted this yesterday. It's like, he mentioned all these successful people and what they're known for, right? Babe Ruth, what's he's known for?
Baseball.
Okay. What in baseball?
Home runs records, right?
Yeah. Okay. Michael Jordan, what's he known for?
The basketball, the 6 championships. I believe,
he's
right?
the GOAT, right?
The GOAT, for sure.
Like yada yada yada. Beyonce, blah blah blah. All these people. So he put all these people up on the board. People are shouting, yeah, blah blah blah. He goes, not one of you mentioned anything about how many times they failed. Now let me break it down. And he broke down how all of these people failed. And then he even told a story about Beyonce. He goes, I was at a concert. I don't know what year it was. He said, I was at a concert when she was up there in Destiny's Child and she got booed off stage. Beyonce, where everybody was Queen Bee, you know, got booed off stage. But nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about all of the steps that they had to take to get there. because we highlight these successful people. We look at them and we say, everything's perfect about them. They just got there because of blah. But what we don't realize is all the struggle that they took to get there and the steps they needed to take, right?
Yeah.
And when we realize that everybody has to take steps to get there, we realize that, hey, like, let's just start. Let's start taking a step forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's what you did. You said, I want to do this project. Let me start chipping away at it. Because that's what it is. Once you start chipping away, before you know it, it compounds. And then you got one of the biggest podcasts in the world or whatever. You know what I mean? But it starts from little steps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Could you imagine Beyonce being booed off stage?
That's what I'm saying. Imagine that. Imagine if Beyonce, when she got booed off stage, she quit. Yo, where would music be? Imagine Michael Jordan, when he gets cut from his varsity team, he quit. Where would basketball be? Do you realize like how much change came with Michael Jordan in the league? It would be a whole different space.
Bro, you're talking about a cultural phenomenon.
Completely changed.
Yeah.
The world would completely be changed. We would not have Air Jordans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It wouldn't exist, right?
And so, like, when you think about these things, it's like so when something happens in our life, when we want to complete a project, when we do it, it's like sometimes it is the person that just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it's what you realize is it's step by step, chipping the block by chip, whatever you want to call it. That's how you get there.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you checked out the movie Air?
Bro, unreal. I love the movie. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That wouldn't exist.
That wouldn't exist, right?
Like that whole thought process on like how contracts are negotiated now, like blah, blah, blah. Like we wouldn't have that.
Wouldn't have that, man.
If he quit when they told him he wasn't good enough.
Or how about taking it a bit further if he would have never signed a contract with Nike?
Exactly.
If he would have I think he wants to go with Adidas,
yeah.
Right?
It would have been a different world. Would have been a different world.
Wow, man.
You know what I mean? Like things like this are like, so when we think about it, it's like, you know, that's what life is. It's like we have all these opportunities and sometimes we decide we don't want to take that next chip, but the next chip is what breaks the block. Sometimes we don't want to take the next step, but the next step is what gets us to the next level. Like, but sometimes we don't see that next level until we get to the step. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, man. Like I'm sitting here, Cyrus, and I'm just really like absorbing what you're saying, man. I'm really listening because it's to your point, right? With like with energy, the current, if we could get more folks to kind of like get into the current and meet each other with the right energy.
That's the butterfly effect. That's the thought process, right? Like the thought process behind butterfly effect is like positively impacting. So the butterfly effect, right, is chaos theory, which is summarize it basically a flap of a butterfly's wings, like that change can make the weather change on the other side of the world, create a typhoon or a hurricane or whatever on the other side of the world, just by one little minuscule thing, right? And that's what the butterfly effect is for me. Amongst other things, I'm obsessed with butterflies because of the symbolism behind butterflies. They symbolize new beginnings. They symbolize beauty in the struggle, right? Do you realize that caterpillars go through physical pain to become butterflies? Like that's how all we are in life, is sometimes we have to go through pain in order to become the beautiful butterflies we're supposed to be, right? So all of this is kind of the butterfly effect. And the thought process is can we positively impact somebody, one person, on a daily basis? Then that's truly how we change the world. Period, end of story. Because now, with this conversation that we had, you can go and have this conversation with one other person. And they can go and do it to one other person. But guess what? Then it just starts branching off. Because what if you had this conversation with 2 people? What if 30 people listen to this podcast and had 30 conversations with 30 other people? And then it just grows. And that's literally how we change the world. That's a butterfly effect, right? Like it's just little things. One conversation between us and us sharing it will change the world for the better. And that's the whole thought process. That's the whole game plan. Like, can we make the world a better place? Can we leave the world a better place than when we entered it? And it's a daily thing. It's daily taking those steps towards that. For me, success, I ask everybody that I bring on to my team or in any of my companies, I always ask them 3 questions. I say, what's your definition of success? What's your definition of wealth? And why do you do what you do? Those 3 questions. And my definition of success is positively impacting somebody on a daily basis. My definition of wealth is how much I can afford to give away. And why I do what I do is for my family, for my people, and to make the world a better place. Period, end of story. And because I know those things, now on a daily basis, I can do a million things. But if I feel that I positively impacted somebody, then I feel like I did my job. And that positive impact can be my partner, can be my niece, can be anybody.
Yeah.
So success, I succeed every day. I can't lose. I literally can't lose. You know what I mean?
No, man, I know exactly what you mean. And I will share this with you, Cyrus. Like, you've had a positive impact on me today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? You could have easily pawned me off. Could have easily ignored me. Could have easily, right?
Yeah.
Could have probably went on my Instagram and been like, this guy just started, not interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that I think it says, like, people can say a whole bunch of things. Like, my mom used to say, a lot of shit sounds cool on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Right? Tons of stuff sounds cool on the phone. But it's about like putting your stuff in motion, putting your stuff action.
Yep.
Action, right? And everything that you're saying is I'm absorbing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think folks listening to this will or watching this will absorb it also. But again, you put it in action. So we met and you decided to take action and whatever, this wasn't planned.
Yeah. No,
right? This wasn't planned. But back to what you're saying, you impacted me and what you're sharing with me, the gratitude portion, the ego portion, how to get that out of your daily routine or before you shut the lights off, people need to hear that, Cyrus. People need to hear that. It's important. And I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day. You could have done I'm sure there are other things on your agenda today that could have occupied your time.
Yeah.
You chose to come to Spark.N.Stride. You chose to have this conversation with Mach. And I really look forward to us having a legit friendship and just like I want to see if I can make it out to Sacramento.
Yeah.
To see you there.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna like see what do I need to do if I need to buy a ticket today.
Yeah.
And just be there in your corner.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, brother.
I appreciate that, and thank you for providing the outlet to be able to do this. Like I said, like for me, it's everything I do is a little bigger than what I do, and that's the goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like the goal is to be able to positively impact everybody, and like, look, like really, let's break it down. Like at the end of the day, we're all gonna die. Like
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do with our time? What are we gonna do with our time? For me, I'm choosing to hopefully leave the world and the people that I meet and interact with in a better space. That's it. That's all I can do. And at the end of the day, everything else will work for how it needs to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, 100%.
And so I appreciate you providing the outlet, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, man.
100%. I want to. There's a few things that I was thinking about before we.
Yeah.
I think we've been going. I don't know how long we've been going. I'm not in a rush by any means, but I want to be conscious of your time. When you're scheduling these events, these speaking engagements.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like how do folks buy tickets to these kind of events?
So typically what we do is we put when we announce the event, we'll put them through Eventbrite. We don't sell tickets.
Mm-hmm.
We give tickets.
Mm-hmm.
They're free.
Okay.
Period. End of story. My goal is positively impact others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how do I do that? I want to provide something to people to attend that they don't have to pay. I mean, I can charge thousands of dollars. I could charge $100. I could charge $200. I could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could do all this thing, but like my whole thing is like, what if you don't have the means to do it? Like, just get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just get there, right? I had someone drive from Ohio. I just found this out yesterday. Like he drove from Ohio to come to New Jersey to the event yesterday. And it's like, what if the ticket was $1,000, or what if the ticket was $500? I don't know if he would have came. I don't know. Maybe he would have, or maybe not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I had people come from California, from Philadelphia, all over the country to come to this event, and it's like, what if the ticket costs money? It's just adding on top of what they already are going to spend for hotel, for driving, for food, for yada yada yada. So for me, I want to be able to provide it. So it's usually through Eventbrite, or another ticketing site, whatever we're using.
Are you familiar with Posh VIP?
No.
Cyrus, this is where your ticketing for your events should go through, Posh VIP. These are two young men out of NYU, successful entrepreneurs, have scaled this business over the course of the past 3 years to, I want to say it's over 1 million users, all self-starters. Definitely, I would love to talk to you more about it offline. Yeah. But Posh VIP, for those that are listening who maybe are thinking about hosting events or speaking engagements, concerts, venues, this is what's on the rise, and it's growing immensely. So and it's I'll talk to you a little bit more about it offline. I'd like to put you in touch with the CTO of it as well.
We'll check it out.
All right, Cyrus, thank you so much, man. This has been great. Blessings to you. And whatever it is you do next. I want to thank you again for taking out time to be here with me and sharing your story and sharing your vision.
Appreciate you, brother. Absolutely.
Thank you. Stay Spark.